one, that you require to learn HTML, and if you want to go into deep into front end development, so you have to understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript also. So what HTML do? uh, can someone tell me what HTML do? So what is HTML? How many of you know HTML or know basic HTML? You don't require a lot of HTML to know. Initially you require few tags to know, just to create few things. Right, so it is used to create structure of website. Right, so it is a hypertext markup language. So it normally executes on browser side. So if you want to see HTML part of any website, it was so easy. So you can create, well, click on right click over there in any website, just like if you are opening any website or any website in it means, right? So you can go and check inspect also, or you can download also. So if you are going to page source, right, so you can see all HTML tags over there. So how it's look like as a HTML, right? So what HTML do? HTML provide basic structure and basic designing of a website, and CSS provide the beautification of that website, how it will look like, what kind of theme will be there, right? So let's create a HTML page first. So we will try to create one basic HTML page. So just so we will be creating. So let's name it like bootcamp. Okay, so bootcamp is already there. Already there, and it is created. So if you look around, this is the HTML that we are looking for. So it will look like blank to you initially if you want to create an HTML page. So for HTML page, you require few basic structure. Give me 1 second. Nitesh is also here. So you need to create some basic tags. The basic tag of HTML is HTML, and then you divide this part into two parts. HTML page is divided into two parts. One is head, and second is body, right? And it is not hard bound language, so you don't require these things also. So body. So if you want to write something in that HTML page, you can write, and you can write with all different headers also. So h1, let's say hello world, uh, and you can close the h1. H1 is the header one, and they have the different font sizes with that. If we will execute the same thing with till h5 or h6, so you can see the basic difference. H2, and you can do the same code on notepad also. There is no requirement of using any ID or all those things, and it doesn't require any server also. So HTML pages you can directly access. So sorry, 3, let's say 4 and 5, right? So if you are going to run it, so first, as we are doing into IDE, so we have to run our server also. So you can install Tomcat server or Glassfish server. Glassfish server comes with the NetBeans, and Tomcat server you have to install it yourself, or maybe you will find it into Eclipse and different IDE. So server is starting, and I'll show you one more thing. So yeah, it was launched successfully. So if you going to run this program, and you have to clean and debug, so that it will create a wrap file for that. So I'll show you two three more different things ki how you can use it. So whenever you are going to start for the first time server and your ID, it will going to respond a little bit slowly. But yeah, after first time, second, third time, it will be little bit faster to provide you the build faster. So build is successful. Now we can run it. So initially some other HTML file will be visible. Then we will go to our bootcamp.html. So you can local host is our glassfish server. So if you are going to open directly the local host 8080 is our port number where our glassfish server is running. So your server Eclipse glassfish is running, your server is now running, and all those details you can find regarding your server, and you can find to the administration console also. Yeah. So now what was our HTML file is bootcamp.html. So we created this file. So we have written hello world in heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5. So you can do with HTML a lot of things regarding our websites, and you can set up the basic icon also ki, okay, what kind of icon you want to give. So this part we will cover it up later, but yeah, I'll teach you how to create forms through HTML. So you can create data, what kind of contact form or a feedback form or a normal calculator, all those things that we can create. So we will go back to our file. So let's remove all basic things. Test serve, save lead. So contact HTML admin. So this is our the basic HTML. Let's remove a little bit hello world from that part. Now in this body we want to create a form, or a basic additional addition calculator ki where we will take two numbers and we will going to calculate the number to the another page. So if you look at the example static website, so static website doesn't transfer data from one page to another page, right? But dynamic website do it. Now how dynamic website do it? Because you need to code in the backend. So we need to create servlet pages or servlet to create that can we can extract the data from the HTML part, and we can do some basic calculation or programming calculation that we want to do in the next page. So if you look into the form, so in form action, you will give the name of the next page, or let's create a, you can create the hyperlink also. Initially if I'll teach you to create a hyperlink, so in next H2 we will create a hyperlink to the our what to say, some HTML page, addition dot HTML page, addition HTML, or test serve HTML, test 10 HTML, let's test skill HTML. So we will do it to test 10.html. So we will send this hyperlink with this. So this is our addition, that is a home page in a website. So what is a home page in a website? Normally it's index.html. So whatever the page opens first time, whenever you will go to our domain name or a website, that's the home page or an index page of a website. So let's open our boot. So hello world is blue because it's a hyperlink, right? So whenever we click it, we will go to the test10.html. So we have reached to our test10.html. So we have, what we created over here is like how to calculate addition. So if we will try to calculate 100 or 500, then submit, it should show us 600. So that's the basic programming that we have done on that servlet part. Now uh, so what this is, this requires a form, two text boxes and one submit button to do, right? So how we can create these things in HTML? Let's look into it. So what you can create a form action, like hyperlink. We have given the link for the next page. In the same way, in form action we will give the name to the next pages or next servlet that we are going to call, but right now we don't have it, so we will leave it blank, form action, and just close the form. Now we need to create two text boxes. Input type text, just give them some name, number 1 and number 2. So this is the first text box, and then we will create another text box, name it n2, so that we can pull the data out of these in later stage. And type, input type submit, to create a basic submit button. Right. So if just look into this now, after changing these things, so how our bootcamp look like? So bootcamp is also having now two text boxes and one submit button. Now whatever we try to enter as a HTML, it will not going to reflect, right? It's not going to do anything because it's going nowhere. uh, Second, you can use JavaScript to provide basic things like don't leave blank these numbers, or whenever clicking you can show them the custom message ki don't leave blank the text boxes, you have to enter few data to perform the numbers. So now we will go to our second part, okay, how we can use servlet to clear it out. Now we will do one more thing. In web.xml you insert the name of a welcome file. So whenever a project is running, there is an mapping of those files that is there. So welcome file list, in welcome file list you give the first name test1.html. That is why test10.html is opening up in the first time. So you can set it up over here, bootcamp.html. Now whenever we'll run this program, uh, this will automatically open the bootcamp.html initially. So this is the first time, and now directly bootcamp.html is opening up. There is nothing showing over here, right? So that's how you can set up the index file or a home file for a project in uh, advanced Java. So there is a web.xml that is known as the deployment descriptor. So you have the all the details related to deployment into this file. Okay, what is the path of a servlet, what is the name of a servlet, how you are going to map it, right? So now in this bootcamp.html, what we are going to do now, we want something that can extract the data. Let's go to the, then let's create a servlet. So servlet is boot servlet, and sometimes you will find some error, just like if we are going to run it, it will show me कि okay, this is already added. So we have add information to deployment descriptor. That's the way that our ID will automatically include that servlet into deployment descriptor. Right. So you will find few predefined information, predefined functions over there, or predefined classes also. So we will explain it. First we will try to execute it once, so that you can understand what kind of outcome we can create. After that we will explain each thing ki, okay, what classes required to create a servlet, what kind of functionalities you need to override, or create the full functionality of a servlet. So now if you are working into NetBeans, you don't find these things onto javax.servlet packages. So in NetBeans, it is like Jakarta. So the package name has been changed for NetBeans. So you can, if you are using NetBeans, so then you can start importing Jakartas, uh, or you can just rename everyone from JavaX to Jakarta. So your error will be removed. So the package name is Jakarta for the NetBeans. So if you are using Tomcat or maybe Eclipse, so there will be JavaX, right? JavaX.servlet package. So now you can run it, and we will call this boot servlet through our form action. So let's search first of all ki is boot servlet is here, or you can check in the list also, okay, the boot servlet is reached over here or not. So no matches is there, so boot servlet is not added into this. So what do you have to do, you have to create four things for the adding a boot servlet. So over here first thing is creating the servlet name and servlet class. So it will be the same as the name of a file and name of the class. So like boot, and this is like same as our the class name or a file name. So boot servlet over here, then boot servlet over here, and servlet mapping is the same, and the URL pattern. So we can change the URL pattern in future. I'll show you the example how it works and what is the purpose of boot servlet, or maybe URL pattern. So now boot servlet is mapped in the web.xml. Now in boot HTML you can call it through this. Okay, form action will be go to the boot servlet. Now just save it and execute it once. So, over here, whatever you want to enter, you can enter. Right now, there is no features. Whenever you click on submit, you will go to the servlet boot servlet at GP2, and you can see in URL you are already reached to our servlet, a dynamic page. So you can code over there as Java programmer, and you can create output as a Java programmer. You can do calculation, you can run loops over there as a Java programmer. So what you can do in this now, what we will do, we want to capture the data from the n1 n2. So whatever data user want to enter into these text boxes, if user enter 100 or 200 whenever they submit, so you can do multiplication or whatever, but yeah, let's go for the addition only, a basic mathematic formula. Submit 100 plus 200, and the output should be here, because the value of n1 is 100, n2 is 200, and summation is 300. So this kind of output we want to give in this. So let's create few variables like int n1, uh, int n2, and int sum. So in n1, if you want the value of n1, what you can do? So there is already a predefined what to say parameters or object of a class HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. So request will help you out to get data from the client side, and response help you out to send data to the client side. So n1 request, so we are receiving data from a client. So request dot get parameter and the name of that parameter. So name of that parameter is n1. So whatever the value n1 has, it will be converted, and it is showing error because we have created the variables into integer, but this returns as a string over here. This function will return the value as a string. So we need to convert that. So you can create the integer, uh, and you can parse int. You can convert that integer into, sorry, string into an integer. So it is create class field integer. What's this? Okay, integer spelling is wrong. Integer. And you can do the same thing with the second variable also. N2 is equal to integer dot parse int. So parse int is a predefined function. Over there you can pass the same thing, request dot get parameter of n2. So the both value will be there. Now we can do sum is equal to n1 plus n2, that we do in basic Java. And over here, whatever you want to write on a HTML page or a web page, so you can use the object of HTTP servlet response, and we have already created the object of print writer, that is out. So system out dot println used to write on console, and over here we can use out dot println to write on our web pages or as a HTML. So over here we can say n1 is equal to plus n1, and you can write this println n1, n2, and sum. So that's an n2. So this will be our object and the perfect output. So let's clean build it and run it once. So like if we will enter 200, 300, the output should be 200, 300, and 500. So N2 is 200, N2 is sorry, N1 is 200, N2 is 300, and total sum is 500. So that's how you do basic calculation in servlet, and that's how you retrieve parameters from different web page. So right now we are on a servlet page, not an bootcamp.html. So that's how you retrieve data from another web page, do some calculation, and show the output to the user. uh, okay, so is everyone cleared what we did over here? I'll explain what is glassfish, don't worry. Weber. So yeah, matlab, do you understand ki what we are trying to do? So if you are creating a website or web pages, and you know basic HTML CSS, so you can create the basic what to say, uh, the presentation layer that we say for the user, right? So what is presentation? You open a website on your mobile or on your desktop or laptop. You see कि okay, this website look like this. That is a part of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? And if you perform some action like if you use Gmail, or you use any social media website, or some other CRM softwares or another websites where they require a lot of data from one part to another part, like Amazon also, or maybe Flipkart also, where you required your login status, right? When you go to payment, they automatically know what's your mail ID and your address and all those things. So those websites require dynamism, right? So they need to interact with database, they need to retrieve your information. So whenever you log in, right, so they required your predefined username, password, whatever you saved last time. So these kind of website required backend coding, backend connectivity with database, and the front end part is only into HTML, CSS, right? uh, so yeah, yeah, so I'll show you also. So now I'll explain you the classes and everything that we have. Give me 1 second. So what happened in, so yeah, so that's how three layer works into dynamic website. So client side application. So client machine has a browser, they have maybe Chrome, they have maybe Edge, or maybe Firefox, whatever they want to have. So they open an HTML page over there, like gmail.com or some other .com, right? So they open up with a basic idea, and they provided them कि okay, and you can enter your username, password to log in, right? So when they try to log in, like I'll show you something. So there is a place called admin home we have created, so you can go through login only over there. So you required username and password to log in. Now you required a basic connectivity and basic data transfer from one page to another page, that we call as state management, right? Or session management. So whenever you log in into your net banking, maybe after 15 minutes of inactiveness, it will automatically log you out, right? But not your Gmail account or not some another account is going to log out in 10-15 minutes, right? So on the basis of security, we decide the session, how much time that session will work, and if it is about net banking or it is about more safe website, so it automatically remove the part that we want to create. So if we want to enter this hello username to he and we'll try to log in, it will not going to send us anywhere. Okay, so it's saying us login processing, invalid username password, please try again, go back to login, right? So if you go through hello, and so admin login reached to the admin home.jsp. So our dashboard is over admin home. Now what we will do, we will close it. We will copy this link. We are saying ki, okay, I got the inbox link of mine, and I have shared onto our chat or anywhere, right? But if you try to reach directly in my inbox without creating a session, what it will redirect to you? It will redirect back to you on a login page, right? So if I'll show you. So we will close this out, and we will just uh, you know create refresh the session, and if we will run again. So now if we will try to reach directly to admin home, what it should do, it will redirect me to the login page ki, okay, uh, right now the username password is not saved, so you should log in again. So if we'll try to open admin home directly, it will not going to send us into admin home. So it reached us to admin login.jsp. So that's the security of that web page. That web page is making sure that if you are reaching over there, you should be reaching through a right login page. So if you log in it, then you will reach to the admin home.jsp, right? Now the session is created on another link, we will directly reach over there, because why? The session is already created in the this web page. So yeah, that's how you do things. Yeah. So till now, any questions? कि, okay, what we are doing, uh, and why we are doing this, and what is the purpose of it? So first, what is glassfish? So you know, if you are running a program on web server or web application, or you are not running program onto your own PC, so where the web server is there, web server is like domain names. So if you open google.com or gmail.com or facebook.com or any other.com, so this is domain name, and this domain name is saved into a domain name server. So what is domain name server? Domain name server create the IP address and the name that is mapped directly, and on the basis of IP address, it will redirect to that server. Now if I create a website, right, skills101.co.in or maybe brk immerse, right? Yeah, exam server, right. So these are the servers that is need to be created. So Tomcat and Glassfish, they both support advanced Java or Java EE features like Servlet, JSP, or Spring Boot in future, right? So they are the servers. So in web, web development, there is one server. Give me 1 second. I think light is gone over here. मैंने पानी की बोतल ले दे बटनू दूसरी तृप्ति ने बोल दे हेलो एम आई ऑडिबल हेलो okay, so I think in my area light is gone, electricity is cut off because it's raining from the morning. uh, so yeah, so it is server. So in this, let me increase the light. So whenever you will try to create a web pages, right, so there is a server, there is a client, what to say, machine. So if we are accessing google.com, it we are accessing as a client side. So a server consists of database of all the running environment, all the supporting APIs. So these kind of services provided by the server only. So now same as a Tomcat or a Glassfish server, we create a local host. So we create a server in our machine. we deploy this project on that machine, on that server. That's how we access it. So whenever we'll try to access it through localhost, so localhost and this port number is our server address, right? So if you are directly accessing, like I'm saying ki, okay, I have created this GP2 project, so I'm trying to access it directly. So if you try to access it directly, it will go to the internet, right? It's nothing to go over there. So you have to use your local host. Local host is your local server, and port number is port number. So there are multiple port open to your local server, that you can host different servers. So if you know, MySQL is hosted also on, I think, same port number or some different port number related to that only. So right now we are hosted our Glassfish server on 8080. So that's how you can access it. The same way, if you go to your MySQL part, you can see that is a local host and 3306. So these are the port numbers that you can use to host different server. So on 3306 port number, MySQL server is hosted. Got the idea? Yeah, it's the same. So port number is not related to your React or Node or anything else. Port is related to your operating system. So in an operating system, if you understand Windows firewall and all those things, so when you run a program, so there are a lot of socket is opened up into an your Windows, so that you can create connection with internet. So your Windows firewall help you to close lot of port, so that you have less access. So it is part of ethical hacking also. So if you understand networking, port and socket is part of your networking area, where you can understand ki, okay, how two computers communicate with each other, and how we communicate with the world wide web, right? So yeah, so this was the server, and this was the basic idea of how we use servlet. Now, uh, what we require to do. So what is a servlet? Servlet provides a server-side programming model for handling HTTP request. So HTTP request, if you use internet again, so you can understand ki whatever you use, like if even if you use Google, and even if you see ki it is normally into HTTPS or HTTP in format. Right now it's converted into HTTPS, more secure. So HTTP is a transfer protocol. So if you read operating system or networking, HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol, right? And if you transfer mails, it is SMTP server or SMTP transfer protocol, right? So HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol. It transfer data between servers or multiple computers, server and client, as a hypertext, right? So they create a text. So that is why if you will go to on google.com and you click a right click and you say inspect, you can easily access their text, right? So what kind of designing they have created? Okay, in head part they have meta, is this is the HTML code. Okay, this is scripting, they are done something, right? Scripting as a some animation, or on the basis of click, you can feel कि okay, the button will show differently themselves. Over here you can, the search bar is showing differently. So these are the click hover events, where if you are mouse pointer goes, it will show you differently. So JS model, where JavaScript model is used to style this everything. So there are a lot of script is going on. The height, the weight of a page, right? So you can see okay, there is over there it is written Google. So this is the title of this, right? So if you want to change it, normally in your HTML you can do it, right? But not in their, right? So yeah, that's what HTTP do. HTTP transfer data between server and client. So purpose of servlet are Java class that extends HTTP servlet. So servlet, we can create servlet through extending HTTP servlet class or implementing servlet interface. So you can find HTTP servlet into javax.servlet.http.http servlet, or you can find javax.servlet.servlet. And same if you are doing it into NetBeans or Glassfish server, so you have to go ahead with Jakarta. Jakarta.servlet is our package. Jakarta.servlet, not javax.servlet. So that's how you create a servlet. Now servlet is a Java class. So same way Java program runs, it runs itself on the server side, where it it provides services and it destroys automatically on our Java virtual machine. uh, Functionalities. Servlet provide two kind of basic facility or functionality. One is request handling. So what is request? So from client side, if some information is going to the server side, that is called a request. Means client is requesting some data from the server or sending some data to the server, right? So request will be handled through HTTP requests, right? And response generation. So it can again create a response. Servlet can create a response in HTTP also responses, and response bodies using HTML, XML, or Java, JSON or other formats, right? Or we can use JSP also in future. Now other than these two, right, they provide these facilities also, because this is the facility of every Java program: state management. So we can create data transfer from one page to another page. So we can create session management, right? The login and password session that we were showing you. Okay, if you are trying to you are unauthorized access, trying to access some web page, so it will throw them back. Okay, you are not authorized to access this page directly, please log in first, right? So we can create sessions. So for session we use HTTP session class. uh, Multi-threading, this is the basic principle of core Java also. So you can multi-thread multiple resources and multiple data at the same time. And what is the life cycle of a servlet? uh, Servlet initialize itself, then request processing, and then destruction or deployment. Servlet framework. So yeah, so now when we will create a servlet, right? So first we need to import these four classes. So initially, if you are creating a servlet directly, so you need to import these four packages or classes. Classes is servlet exception, HTTP servlet request, and HTTP servlet response, right? And whatever you are creating a class, you should extend HTTP servlet. So we need to extend this HTTP servlet to our primary class that we want to create a servlet. So if we don't extend this, it means it will not going to provide you feature of HTTP servlet request and response, right? So for servlet request or response, you need to uh, extend this HTTP servlet class. So now when you extend or inherit a class, we need to override some functions of that class, and that need to be done, right? So whenever we'll do it, so there are two functions that we need to override. One function is do get function, and second is do post function. They both is void do get and void do post, and the parameter is same between those two, right? So HTTP servlet request and their object, HTTP servlet response and their object, and same is into do post, HTTP servlet request and their object, and HTTP servlet response and their object, right? So from request we retrieve the data from the client side, and with response we send the data to the client side. And in both functions we need to throw servlet exception also and input output exception also, because sometimes we give the wrong reference also. So there are a lot of exception generation over there. So we need to throw two exceptions over there. So now from both function we are calling the process request function, and we are transferring this request and response to the process request. So process request is user defined function that we created. कि okay, from whatever side we will receive the request, we want to execute this part only. Now what is a do get and do post method in HTML? So any one of you know what is get method and post method? Nitesh, Pooja, Vaibhav, Shubham, Mehak. Okay, okay. So don't worry, I'll explain. Uh, get is a method and post is a method that help you to send data through what to say, uh, server side from the client side, and they both have different style of sending the data. Get send data as a faster way, and post send data as a slower way. But what is the difference? Now the same thing, the form we have created, right, initially. So I'll show you. So we have entered 500 and 600 and submit. A automatic method that is called is get. So now you can see in the URL pattern कि okay, we have called boot servlet, and we are passing two parameter, n1 is equal to 500, n2 is equal to 600, right? So you can see the whole data over here, and this same thing you can see into Google also, right? So Google also uses get method, right? So if you will open up Google and search something, uh, you know search something search something on. So if you will go over there in URL pattern, you can see search question mark question search plus something, whatever we have written it, and it sent it at, and it also create lot of data. So source is HP. So HP is name of my laptop, right? So Google create some cookies and taking your data through that and sending it onto the server, right? Now this is a get method. So get method uses like this. Now if we'll change it to the post, so you can use specifically. So by default is get method is equal to, normally you write get or post, so you can write post. What post will change? So we need to clean and build again. So if we'll change into our HTML file as a post, how it's going to change? So now we are entering 500 and 600, same again, submit. So you can only see the servlet name, there is no parameters in front of it, right? So what post do? Post encapsulate those data or create a packet, so you cannot see that packet directly onto URL pattern, right? So whenever we are using, right, a post method is used to create username password, right? So whenever we'll use username password, it is going to use post method, right? So if it is like admin login.jsp, so there is no data. So in admin login.jsp also we uses a basic post method, right, not a get method. Why? Because get method is little bit faster, it directly picks the data and send it onto the server. but it doesn't provide your security. So your whole data is visible to all the hackers or all the parties that is involved in the whole game, right? So it can easily see through your URL pattern. But in post method, so if you use Gmail also, or any password that is getting onto our website, it uses post method. Why? Because post method first encapsulate those data into packets so that it is not visible to everyone, then send it. So it is little bit slower than the get method. So anywhere you use where data security is not required, you use get method. Where you required fast transaction but not security, and anywhere you uses data security, or you require data to be secure, you use post method. uh, yeah, both used to send data through the server, do post or do get, whatever, no issues, both are same. But the difference is only the security security of the data. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, great. So I'll give you the task also today. Okay, do it yourself, right? Create a basic maybe login page of some over there, and you can use a basic servlet to get the data and validate okay, the username password is right or not. So get method and put method, they both do the same thing, Pooja. They both send data from client side to the server side, but get directly send it without securing it, and put provide the security. It encapsulate the data so that data is not going to be visible on URL pattern or any other hacking basic hacking ideas. Okay, it is easily visible to the data. So yeah, put method first encapsulate data and provide you security, then send it to the server. And get and put both method. Okay, put method you are asking, not post. So sorry. Get put is something else. Put is used to write something. It is not post. So in HTML we use get and post. And your put method. What is the question, Pooja? Put method you are asking on what or which topic directly? So you can use put into file handling also, read and write of file handling, or put I think used into networking part also. Form method is post, get and post, not put. So there is only, so these two are having the basic method of sending data. So yeah, we have done what we done. We created a basic submission over there. So now when you are using the process request method, that you know you can do different things when the different function is called. So if you get called through do get or get function, you can print it over here also, some other functionality. Or when you are get called through post, you can create a different functionality over here. But we don't want it right now, it is not required also right now. So we calling the same method process request. So through do get or do post, whatever is getting called, we will going to execute process request at the end, right? So it is, you can create yourself also, you can write any name of this function, right? So that it is user defined function over there. Now over here what we did, there is a two things, request and response, right? So over here what we did the set content type of response. Okay, response what we are sending to the web page, response should be into text and HTML format, right? And you have created the object of print writer, and print writer object into response dot get writer. So response is very important to send data to the client side. If you are creating some other object of writing, and if you are not using response, it is not going to send it to the user side or maybe client side. So now we are using the basic HTML in println. Okay, like we used to write into our system out.println. So we are doc type HTML head, title is servlet boot serve. So over here, we can say ki servlet boot serve is calculating the data, right? Head, or this is the title part, so let's remove it. In title you can say our first servlet, right? And in println servlet boots is calculating the data, right? And the same, this is just basic HTML coding. Over here you are doing what, you are request dot get parameter, and you are passing n1 n2. Now these are the name that we have given to those text boxes. So whatever name you want to give over there, it will get called through those parameter only. So if you are writing it some other name over here and some other name over here, it is not going to fetch the data from those text boxes, right? So we are fetching the text box n1 and n2, and then we are doing integer dot parseInt and converting those data into integer. Now we are doing the basic summation, and we are giving the output to user. Now we can do a lot of things also with this. Over here we can say user ki, okay, let's run a loop and tell them and show them the table of both n1 and n2, right? So integer I is equal to n1, I is okay, or I is 1, I is less than 10, I plus plus. That's how we are going to run a loop. And let's say out.println, the same we coding we used to do in Java normally. So n1, the value of n1, what was the value of n1? n1 plus, let's create a space, plus I. Over here you can write multiplication, I is equal plus is equal to plus n1 into I, right? So it will help us with the table of n1, right? Or you can use after that, you know a break line code of an HTML. So BR I think used for the breaking of a line. So let's now run it again, compile it and run it again. So now we will transfer some other number 20, 20 and 40. So when we are submitting it, so first we have changed our title. Title is our first servlet, and we can change this icon through HTML also. Right now we can see the uh, you know server of glassfish, right? So now the n1, the again the data we have written, the servlet boot servlet is calculating the data, n1 20, n2 is 40, and sum is 60, and we started the basic table, the table of 20, 20 to 29. So we should have given the loop to one more space, or less than is equal to, over there we have written only less than 10. So if we write it down as a less than equal to, it will be there, right? uh, so that's how we can use servlet. Any query regarding servlet, क्योंकि how to servlet run, please ask again. How to servlet run? Servlet is a Java class actually. So servlet is running into JVM onto our server, right? So we just calling him, right, through our HTML page. So we can call it in an any way. We can use a hyperlink also. We can use form also. So let me show you. If over here we are calling that servlet, boot servlet, as a form action, right? Or we can call it like over here also in a normal hyperlink. So we can, call this servlet over here also. So we can call it in a any way. But when it is going to call through hyperlink, it is going to call as a get method, and it is not going to get the data of form easily, right? So let's go over there. I'll show you again. So now I'm writing over here some number 40 or 400 or maybe 100. If I'm clicking on hello world, this data is not going to be there. If I'm going to click on submit, this data is going to be there. So hello world, this is blank and there is no data, right? Boot servlet is called. Why there is no data? Because it just called through a hyperlink, right? And it is not going to transfer this data of a form, right? So if I am clicking through a form button, then there is a data, right? So that form is sending the data to the server side. Yeah, so Mehak, is it clear how we are running a servlet? Okay. Uh, so, you know, can you create a basic calculator of maybe, okay, do one thing. So, I am giving you an idea what you can do. Uh, so, create over here one more drop down menu, maybe, right? Drop down menu, you all understand, I think. So, in drop down menu or a radio button where you ask user, ki, okay, what do you want to do? Addition or summation, subtraction, multiplication, and divide. On the basis of user, whatever user choose, when you click on submit, this action should be performed, right? So if user chooses multiplication and then submit, so whatever two number is entered, there should be multiplication. If a user chooses subtraction, then it will do the subtraction. uh, are you understanding the project, मतलब idea ki okay, what we need to make? Okay, so mm, now, anyone has any idea कि okay, let's what to create through some HTML part? क्योंकि these can basically you can use JSP also for that. But I can offer you one more thing. I can give you, if you want to complete JSP today only, it is okay. Or if you want to do this practice of servlet first, then I'll provide you 2 more hours, or maybe not next Saturday, right? So is it okay? You want to do JSP right now or this Saturday? So I can provide you in both way. Okay, do you want it right now, or you want to do the practice of servlet first? Then you can ask the question on Saturday also. or then you can go into JSP, Java Server Pages. So Java Server Pages is a different technology where we use, Java codes into HTML. Over here, if you are seeing, we are using HTML codes into Java programming, right? So over, you know, the whole page is itself Java, where we are importing the packages, creating a class, creating a function, right? That's a servlet. But in JSP pages, we will be using tags directly into HTML pages. So yeah, uh, so if I'll teach you both, I think this will create a little bit issues. So, and also there's an electricity issue. So Java server pages also requires at least one more hour. So Nitesh, Pooja, Vaibhav,